he asked me what I thought about that. And he said, I should also tell you what Ayendra Prabhu said about it. And he said, Ayendra was very angry. He said, no, better you don't do kirtan. You just do kirtan once a week or something. And he told me, and I said, I 100% agree with Ayendra Prabhu. Now you may say, but then I can't do kirtan. I could do so many good things. But what kind of kirtan will we do? My Guru Maharaj used to say, are you doing Krishna kirtan or are we doing Maya kirtan? Are we chanting Krishna Krishna or are we chanting money money? What kind of kirtan are we doing? What are we thinking about? What is our purpose for that? And it's a fact. If someone stays at home and has to work a job for non-devotees and make money and can only do kirtan once a week, you're going to cry. You're going to suffer. Just like Raghunath Das Goswami also suffered. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he advised Raghunath Das Goswami that antarnishta bahir vyavahar. He said, look, don't be a mad person. Antarnishta bahir vyavahar. Inside, you be a pure devotee. Outside, you be an ordinary kind of person. Once I heard there was a man who had some medical problems. He had a rash, itching, like anything. And at the same time, there was something maybe more serious. He was coughing up blood. And so he went to an Ayurvedic doctor. And the doctor told him, well, this is very serious. You can die soon, this blood that you're coughing up. He said, so I'm going to give you 2 pills. I'm going to give you a red pill. You swallow that with some hot water. And the white pill, you crush it. And you mix it with some ghee. And you rub that onto your rash. So, okay, so you got it? Red pills for the inside. White pills for the outside. Phyllis said, okay, red the inside, white the outside. So when he's going home, he was repeating that mantra. He wasn't such a super swift kind of intelligent fellow. And he forgot. Red is for the outside, white is for the inside. And he got it wrong. And he crushed the red pills and put them on his rash, and he swallowed the white pills with hot water, and he died after a couple of days. So the story represents that on the inside, we should have our renunciation. But on the outside, we should look like a normal person. And this is the teaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami. Don't be a show bottle transcendentalist, he told him. Don't try to change things on the outside. Change things on the inside. And then Krishna will change things on the outside, and it becomes very, very wonderful. But we should think, as said, that the environment is always friendly. The situation that I'm in is always friendly. It's not bad. Krishna's given me this to help me in my nam bhajan. And if I can't do my kirtan, I'm going to cry. But then, when I finally am able to do kirtan, whoa, then it'll be with a full heart. Whereas sometimes when someone runs away from their family responsibilities, whenever they go and join the Hare Krishna movement, we've seen many times, they take it in a bit of a cheap way. And after some time, many times they end up leaving. Whereas other people, sometimes they're working a job or something for so many years and they're crying. But they're looking forward, when will that day come? When I can retire and I can do book distribution, Harinam, I'll go to Vrindavan. And when that day comes for them, it's very, very genuine. So this is the nature, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, of a Vaishnava, Sadanam Levi Yata Labi Tit Santosh. That always chant the holy name and be satisfied with whatever comes. Don't worry about it. Depend on Krishna. Krishna will take care. Srila Prabhupada in one lecture, he said, we're not here to do business. We don't want your money. We don't care if you become members. I was asked to give a lecture at a wealthy life member's house one time. And it was the end of my life membership preaching career. A group of brahmacharis went with us. He's a very wealthy man. He had all kinds of servants in a huge house. And I told him, I remember what Prabhupada said. I felt something for the man. And I said, you know, we don't want your money. And we don't care if you become a member. We just want to see that you're happy. And it really, I could see it touched him. But the brahmacharis that I were with, they were a little disturbed by that. And on our way back to the temple, they thought I couldn't understand what they were saying. He was speaking in Oriya, but I can understand. Anyway, it was the end of my preaching career for life membership. But I don't care, because we don't need someone's wallet. If you have their heart, then everything else comes automatically. Eta achar kore bhakti dharma posh. That if we behave in this way, if we have this achar, then this bhakti dharma posh, this will maintain our bhakti. And we won't become like Bakasura, our favorite madman. Prabhu Saraswati Thakur, he describes in his mad rant called Vrindavan Mahimamrita. Bratar boga subukta sakai hana bhavata napi sansara madhye Vyajadhana dvara jai kati kati jagati kyati pujadya labdaha Adyaharepi yadrichika urugunavan apyaho samritatma Shrimad Vrindavane sminsatatam atashake sarvato mukta sangha. Bratar, oh my dear brother, Bratar Boga, what enjoyments have you not already had in this world? You've enjoyed so many things. What more do you want? He says, what kind of fame and worship have you not already gotten in this world? By scholarship and sacrifice and charity. He says, just today, my dear friend, Adyahare, just now, at this time, my dear friend, you should just accept whatever food comes on its own without you endeavoring for it. And you should always look to see the good qualities in other people and not their faults. Don't put yourself forward. He said, rather, you should remain obscure and unknown. And Shrimad Vrindavani Smin Satitam Atta Saki Sarvato Mukta Sangaha. You just wander without anyone with you in the groves of Vrindavan. Now you may protest, but if I do that, I'm an old man. If I do that, what if I get sick? No doctors will be there. What? It's an existential crisis. What if I die? If I die somewhere in those groves of Vrindavan and nobody knows who I am, how will my friends find out? How will my family members find out? How will they erect a monument for me and remember me for the rest of eternity? They won't. And that'll be the perfection of your bhakti. You can die like that, alone, with nobody knowing who I am and where I am. That's perfection. Perfection means for a devotee, they want to simply chant. They want to be simple. They don't want to make a big show like Bakasura. I heard a true story some years ago. I wanted to tell you. It's a Vrindavan story. One of the Brijvasis told me this. That there was one sadhu in Vrindavan, one pandit, I should say, and he was giving Bhagavat Pat every day, class in the Bhagavatam. And he became a little famous. And many people came to hear his katha. He was a very learned person. And there were many high-class people who would come to that program. But there was one person who would come every time. And when he would come in, everybody would get up and move away because they didn't want to sit next to him. Because you see, he was living on the streets in Vrindavan. And he wasn't taking a bath. There was no shampoo. His hair was all matted. And it was dirt all over his body. And his clothes were filthy, stinking dirty. And his body smelled very, very badly. And so everybody would get up and move away. And he was a madman. You tried to talk to him, he wouldn't make any sense of anything. But he would come every time to the Kirtana. One day, that pandit was going to the Gopishwar Mahadev temple. And when he was going in, he saw that strange fellow coming out of the temple. And so that pandit, he stopped him. He said, "Hey man, doing? You know, who are you? Where are you from? And somehow by Krishna's arrangement, that mad person decided to say something to him. He said, oh, I'm staying here in Vrindavan. And he told him, he said, but you don't take bath. He said, no. And he said, I've seen you. One time I was walking down the street and I saw someone threw some food at you and you were eating that, and then some dogs came and they started eating off the same plate. And you let them eat. That's disgusting. Yeah, it's true. He said, man, where do you come from anyway? He said, oh, I come from such and such village, which is a very high-class Brahmin village. I said, really? Said, what kind of family do you come from? So I belong to the Saraswat Brahmin family, Gotra. Very high-class Brahmin family. The Pandits, God, man, he said, do you have any education? I said, yeah, I have a master's degree in science. So what are you doing? Huh? What are you behaving like this for? And somehow, by Krishna's inspiration, that strange fellow said something which generally he wouldn't say. He told that Pandit, he said, well, if I don't behave like this, I can't see Krishna. The Pandit looked at him, he was a very learned person. He said, how do you see Krishna? He said, well, I see him like I see you. He said, no, do you see him as a spurti? Because there's different levels. Huh? When someone first sees Krishna, maybe for one brief moment, like Narad Muni in his previous life, as a son of a maidservant. He said, do you see him? He said, no, I sit down and I talk with him. We spend time together in that. He said, but if I don't do like this, then I can't see him. So we don't know who we're dealing with. If somebody came to the temple and they had stool, their own stool caked on their body, probably we might not want to let them in the temple room, I think. But that person might be Lord Rishabdev. Or we can think about Gorkishore Babaji, we can think about Vamsidas Babaji, and other great personalities who always hid themselves. And this is a very important principle for devotees to understand also. It's difficult for us sometimes because we focus so much on preaching. But there's another aspect also that we should think about. Do you know, 4 times in the Bhagavad Gita, not once, twice, thrice, 4 times, Krishna says the same thing to Arjuna. In chapter 6, text 10, Rahasi stita ekaki. He says that a transcendentalist should live alone in a secluded place. Then in the 13th chapter, text 11, 2 times in the same verse. First time he says, Evictus desha sevitvam, that a devotee should aspire to live in a solitary place. And then he says, Aratir jana sansadi, he should not be attached to the common people. And then in 18th chapter, text 52, he says, Vivikta sevi, a transcendentalist is someone who lives in a secluded place. But we're not supposed to do that. Srila Prabhupada told us he didn't want us to live alone. So maybe there's some mistake in the Gita. Maybe we should write an email to Jayadvaita Maharaj. Maharaj, there's another problem. We should change this thing. We should cut this out. Krishna says this. Why does Krishna say this? How can we understand this? One of our favorite things in the world is to take devotees on Parikrama of Jagannath Puri. And we call Puri the Jagannath Puri University of Braj. It's a university. It's a school that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened to teach everyone how to get Braj Prem. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't come to be a deity. He came to be a devotee. And he came to teach us how to do Nam Kirtan. And so Jagannath Puri is a university where he taught us that thing. We see generally with Gaura Leela, there are 2 general attitudes people have toward Gaura Leela. And you can divide it in these 2 divisions. One is like a cake, the sponge part of the bread part of the cake. And that's the majority of the cake. That's Mahaprabhu's Prachar Leela, his preaching. And then there's another part to Gaura Lila, that's the Gambhira Lila. Mahaprabhu's intimate, very private pastimes in the Gambhira with Raghunath Das Goswami and Srup Damodar Goswami. Some say Raghunath Das, Roy Ramananda, Govinda. Just a very few, very intimate devotees. And that's like the sweet icing. So if you look at the Vaishnava community, there's some Vaishnavas who emphasize the bread part, and there's some Vaishnavas who emphasize the icing part. Generally speaking, don't mind me saying, in ISKCON and in Gaudiya Math, we emphasize the bread part. And even sometimes some devotees say, don't take the icing, you can't digest it, only allowed to have the bread part. But I have a problem with that. When I take the bread part, it's a little dry. And it gets stuck in my throat. It's not very nice. Then there's another group of Vaishnavas, you know. They only like the icing part. And they say, no bread. We just take the icing only. I've seen some children like that. Once we saw one child at a party. He took the icing off about 10 pieces of cake. And that's all that he ate. Very nice. But what happened to him? The next day, he spent most of the day in the bathroom. Because he couldn't digest that. So in a similar way, some people, they can't digest that. It's very, very sweet and tasty. But if that's all that you take, you may get some indigestion. If we want the full mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we have to take both parts of the cake. Not just only take the bread part, which is very dry. And some people are not very attracted by that. They'll say, all these people, they're just very dry. There's other people over here, they have nice icing. You guys are teaching stress management in Bhagavad Gita. And over here, they're teaching Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. Which one is more relishable? And they go. But actually, we need Bhagavad Gita and stress management. That's where we're at. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught us by his pastimes in Jagannath Puri.